Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. This is the 2125th day of uninterrupted webinar conducted by International Forum for Promoting Homeopathy. Today, our guest is Dr. Yashika Arora. Let us begin the session with 1 minute silent prayer. Thank you all. The International Forum for Promoting Homeopathy comprises of homeopathic lovers, students, and doctors, and we have 3 sessions every day. The first session of the day is already over in Hindi from 7:30 to 8:30. From 8:30 to 9:30, we have the international session in English, and from 9:30 to 10:30, we have a local language session in Malayalam. We are uploading the videos of the same on the very next day itself so that those who missed the session can watch it again and subscribe the same without paying any money. And we are uploading the videos so far. We have so far uploaded more than 3,800 videos at YouTube. You can search it IFBH Homeopathy. And let me come to today's guest. As you know, Dr. Yashika Arora Malhotra is today's our guest, and she has completed MD and doing PhD uh, now, and is a senior research fellow at CCRS New Delhi, and she is the chief consultant at Homeo N Live. And doctor is coming for the second time, I think. And the role of homeopathy in nephropathy is the subject to be discussed. And let us proudly invite the guest of the day, Dr. Yashika Arora Malhotra. Welcome, doctor.
Thank you so much, sir. I hope my voice is audible.
Yes, it
Uh,
was audible and visible.
yes, sir. Thank you so much, IPH and Dr. Dhanesh, for inviting me, Dr. Abdullah, for being so generous that I'm again on this platform. So many times that I have got this opportunity via Dr. Shaji, via Dr. Sahani sir, and everybody, the whole team. So I think I am obviously very proud to have this opportunity to share my views, my cases, my experience with you all on this platform. So, without wasting any more time, I would like to start the session. The same, I'm sharing my screen. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, yes, visible. You can make it full screen.
Yes. So today's topic for the discussion is role of individualized homeopathy as an adjunct in IgA nephropathy. We'll be discussing an evidence-based case report. And once again, I would like to thank IFPH. They have been so consistent since I remember the COVID times, and it is the 2126th day of daily webinar, and we're glad to be a part of it. So today we are going to understand that nephropathy as a disease, how it is as a burden to the society, to the mankind. And we'll firstly discuss the pathogenesis and the clinical features of nephropathy, and then actual conventional treatment, what is actually available uh, for these. Then we'll be discussing the complementary role of homeopathy, and we'll be discussing the particular case because it's my first session on nephropathy. So I want to begin it with the introduction and the burden of the disease and the basic background of the disease. I hope everybody must be knowing, but yes, CKD and chronic kidney disease and this nephropathy and nephritis and chronic acute pyelonephritis. So there are so many diseases that are coming up so much in the in we are seeing so many cases of CKD nowadays because and people are on dialysis. So this is a very important topic to be discussed, and the role of homeopathy, how it helps, how it can be used as a treatment, as a therapy, along with the conventional medicine as an adjunct therapy, or you can say it is can if the levels are low, if the levels are um, within the limits, then it alone can be a solution for the case. So we are going to critically evaluate a clinical case which was managed with the with homeopathy and the conventional medicine together. So before that, as you all know, that kidney functions because we have lovers of homeopathy in this session and people joining from all over the world, those who are interested in homeopathy or those who believe in homeopathy. So I would like to just of the functions of the kidney, that it is the kidney is actually responsible for removing the waste products, and it regulates our electrolytes. It maintains our homeostasis, the fluid balance, the fluid base balance of the body, and the acid base balance of the body. It also regulates the blood pressure. And you must have seen there are high BP patients. So the high this high BP high BP is actually a risk factor for kidney diseases, for cardiac diseases, and also it performs hormonal functions such as activation of vitamin D. It also regulates the metabolism of calcium. It also maintains the renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system. So kidney is a very important part of the body. And when you talk about the functional unit nephrons and the functioning, if the system, if this urinary system is hampered, so the body waste and the excretion of the products of the body is very is it makes the situation worse. So one nephropathy is one of the important causes where there is structural and functional damage which happens to kidneys, and because of that there is impaired filtration. There is protein loss, proteinuria from via proteinuria, proteins secreting through the urine, excreting through the urine, electrolyte imbalance, which is the function of kidneys, and then the progressive decline in the renal function. So progressively, gradually, the renal functions get deteriorated, and it leads to CKD, that is chronic kidney disease. So when you talk about nephropathy, it can be divided into two sections. It is classified into two sections, wherein there are primary glomerular diseases and secondary nephropathies. So primary, as the term suggests, happens just because of the basic cause. The big cause is the kidney. When the kidney is at stake, so the glomerulus is the nephrons, the kidney is affected, so the primary glomerular disease constitutes IgA nephropathy, or there is FSGS or membranous nephropathy. When you talk about secondary nephropathies, so they are those nephropathies which happen after because of some disease, because of already one systemic disease, like we have diabetes. So, due to diabetes, due to high sugar levels, diabetic nephropathy may occur. Lupus nephritis, skin problems are there, lupus is there, and then the nephritis occurs. Then there's infection of nephrons, inflammation of nephrons. Because of hypertension, also nephropathy may develop due to some intake of drugs, or amyloidosis is one of there are these are five causes which may lead to nephropathy. So basically the concept is that the normal kidney, when it is getting infected due to primary cause, that is that the filtration and impairs, or because of the primary causes and leads to fibrosis, or it may be due to secondary causes, that there is pressure on the kidneys, so it may lead to fibrosis and the chronic kidney disease, and then leading to end stage kidney disease. So if you would talk about, and everybody knows that CKD prevalence is very, very high nowadays, because diabetes and hypertension are the leading causes, and there are lifelong medications people are taking. There is dialysis cost, there is renal transplantation, there's reduced quality of life. So it is actually a burden to the society, because there are so many cases of kidney diseases that are coming up, and they are going for dialysis, which is actually leading to worsening the situation of the patient, leading to multi-organ failure, etc. So when you talk about today's session, we are going to discuss the integrative care. That why is integrative care? What is integration? Integration is the combination um, of the pathies or the systems all together just to help the patient, just to cure the patient, just to restore the sick to health. What is our aim? So integrative care is actually very, very important at today's level. And in every critical cases now, people are adapting integrative care along with conventional medicine. If homeopathy, if Ayurvedic, if any other system of medicine is giving benefit, so as an add-on, as an adjunct therapy, so why not decrease the disease? Why not restore the sick to health? Why not decrease the burden of the disease? Why not decrease the side effects of um, many of the illnesses that occur due to conventional treatment? So, when you talk about CKD, that is chronic kidney disease, nephropathy, so they are long-term diseases and they lead to psychological stress, and the patient actually needs holistic care. So, the homeopathy plays a very important role when you talk about IgA nephropathy, which we are going to discuss today, the case of IgA nephropathy, which is a very, very common cause of primary glomerulonephritis throughout the world, and it is actually characterized by a deposition of IgA containing immune complexes in the layers of the kidney in mesentery. So and it's very common in Asia and Europe, and usually it is occurring in the age of during the age of 15 to 35 years, with a predominance seen in males more. So 2 to 3 is to 1 ka ratio is to the males. So, the pathophysiology, when you talk about the pathophysiology behind it, so there may be the patient may have suffered with some respiratory, some staphylococcal or streptococcal or some GIT infection in the past, because of which the patient may have developed or produced galactose deficient IgA1. So, because of that illness, because of that infection in the body, the patient developed galactose deficient IgA1, which actually creates which actually leads to formation of autoantibodies against the antibody. The body is producing immunoglobulins, and there is a formation of complex formation. There is immune complex formation. The IgA complexes, they deposit, they form the mesangial deposition occurs, and automatically it activates the complementary system and leads to inflammation. So body is self-reacting. Body is producing antibodies against autoantibodies against its own antibodies, for which was being developed because of for to fight the infection, and then it get deposits in the as an immune complex in kidneys, and then there happens inflammation in the kidneys, which may lead to glomerulosclerosis, and then further fibrosis of the kidneys, and then uh, chronic kidney disease leading to the end stage kidney disease. So the concept is behind this is this, that the immune complexes deposit in the mesangial deposition occurs, and which may present as hematuria, which may present as proteinuria, that blood may be excreting from the urine, proteins may be excreted out in the urine. There may be high levels of BP, blood pressure, and with time the foamy urine may occur, and there is weakness in the patient, or reduced urine pressure or urine retention may occur, or there is progressive decline in the renal function, that the renal function declines gradually. There's a gradual decrease in the renal function. And further, if you talk approximately, if you talk about the IgA nephropathy, 20 to 40% of the cases progress to end stage renal disease in over 20 years. So it is one of the causes that may that leads to mortality even and morbidity even. So it's very important to diagnose and uh, rule out the case very immediately and take the action accordingly. So you can obviously the symptoms directs to hematuria, proteinuria. So urine analysis is one of the important investigations. Protein creatinine ratio, GFR, decreasing GFR, EGFR, serum albumin levels, and lipid profile. Sugar also must be tested, and again, BP must be regulated. Also, the renal ultrasound um, is one of the important diagnostic tests that may be done, which may also reflect that there is some or the other inflammation which is happening in the kidneys. But the best and the gold standard which is being considered is the kidney biopsy, which actually presents when you do immunofluorescence. Uh, uh, so there is mesangial IgA deposition. The autoantibodies are being deposited and seen in the biopsy. And and when you talk about this diagnosed case of IgA nephropathy, when you talk, so you have to very much remember the prognosis of the case, that 20 to 40% may lead to end stage kidney disease, or they may develop complications like CKD, nephrotic syndrome, cardiovascular diseases, in fact, because there may be swelling, there may be kidney issues that may be affecting the cardiac, that may affect the cardiovascular system. And if there is persistent proteinuria, if there is declining EAGFR, that it is decreasing by 25, 20, and then there is uncontrolled hypertension and very much rise in the serum creatinine, that creatinine levels are going on 7 8. So one must take care of this red flag, that creatinine levels are very high, 6 7 8 9, and the GFR is decreasing, and altogether there is BP. So the patient needs to control the BP, he needs to restrict the salt diet, whatever general management is important, one needs to do it. Protein restrictions must be very, very important when you talk about kidney diseases. So, weight control again. So, altogether, these things should be managed along with the general management. There may be therapies which are being given by the other system of the medicine. When we talk about allopathic system of medicine, there are ACA inhibitors, there are there are immunosuppressive agents which are being given to such suppressed patients of IgA nephropathy. And further, if the stage is gradually progressive and the patient is deteriorating, so the doctor may recommend hemodialysis. He may go for peritoneal dialysis or even kidney transplantation. So, being a doctor, being a physician whose single aim is to restore the sick to health, as it's being stated by our master. So, our treatment goal must be always prioritized to reduce the proteinuria, because altogether, if you decrease the symptoms, if you decrease the red flags of the medicine, you will obviously you will be able to cover up the renal function, and you will delay the progression of the disease and also improve the quality of life. So when you talk about role of homeopathy as an integrative approach in especially in kidney cases, it acts as a very complementary therapy, because it is not replacing the nephrological management. See, it's clearly saying that it is the complementary therapy that is being helping the patient to delay his dialysis, to delay his progression of the disease, to improve his system, to improve his constitutional symptoms, or to improvise his quality of life, providing him emotional and psychological support altogether, giving him together will be giving him nephrologist prescribed treatment also, that would be provided, and that would be managed with the homeopathy altogether. It is not a replacement, it is a complement which adds as an adjunct therapy to the standard nephrological treatment. And there are so many evidences, so many case reports, so many case series. There have been experimental research. There have been systematic reviews being published on PubMed, as per the guidelines, as per the standard guidelines. So which actually indicates that yes, there is role of homeopathy as a complementary therapy in such cases. And there is a need of high clinical trials, or we need to make our studies registered, those who are giving better options. So that is the need of the hour, because uh, dialysis and all other complementary all other alternative system, that is immunosuppressants and everything, that are deteriorating the health of the patient altogether. So we need to cover that also. So we need to give a good quality of life to the patient. So today we are going to discuss a case of a 31-year-old male who presented to me around 3 years back, 3 years back on 10th January 2023. He was diagnosed with IgA nephropathy, and he came to me after post-renal transplant. He also had a history of pyelonephritis in the past, and his chief complaints which he complained was there was edema, there was swelling, overall swelling, there was generalized edema and the swelling of eggs. There was extreme weakness. The patient's skin was very dry with itching, pruritus, that are the symptom, the normal symptom of the IgA nephropathy. And there was abdominal bloating. He was also diagnosed with diabetes. He was also having hypertension, but the BP was being monitored and was controlled at a levels. But at the level of when the patient came to me, he was at the same pace since so many years, since he had been taking conventional treatment, and there was persistent symptoms. The weakness was not getting better, the edema was not getting better. So he came to me for looking after how can we how can we improve the things. So there was swelling of both legs, and sleep was also disturbed. He was complaining of constipation also, sometimes occasional bleeding per rectum. He was not actually diagnosed with hemorrhoids, but there was bleeding sometimes, maybe due to medicines, or maybe with stools, maybe due to there may be so many medications he was taking, and there was pitting edema present. And the history said that the history, it clearly indicated that he had a history of bronchial asthma in 2014, and then he developed because of his asthma, in January 2016 he developed fever and loss of appetite and throat infection. So there was again a throat infection, because of which autoantibodies got accumulated in his kidneys. And in 2016, the same year, from January to October, he was diagnosed with IgA nephropathy, wherein he complained of pyelonephritis also. He was having renal failure at the same moment, hemodialysis within few months, within 8 months, 9 months. He was to that stage that he had to get renal transplantation. So that was the management that time done. So renal transplantation, he got the kidney transplant, and then in 2017 and 18 he was much better. He was clinically stable. He was going on fine. But then suddenly in 2020, as the time passed progressively, gradually, the patient was, while getting his routine test done, he had raised serum creatinine levels, and then he was presenting with recurrent edema. And usually there were some episodes which happened that his graft, what renal transplantation he had got done, that was dysfunctioning, that it was the body was rejecting it. There was some episodes. So he was being given immunosuppressive therapy. He was given immunosuppressants by the allopathic doctors, by the conventional medicine doctors. And then in January 2023, he presented to me for after 3 years of his continuous recurrent episodes of this and serum creatinine levels high. he presented to me with his complaints that there are recurrent episodes. So while the investigations presented that time was the HB was the HB was low because he was taking low diet, and there was low protein, and the diet was improper. He had blood urea levels 70 and creatinine levels as 3.20 milligram per deciliter, and that was stationary, that was stagnant till the whole since past 3 years. The 3.1, 3.2, 3.6, 3.7 SAE, it was going on. So it didn't come less than 3 since past 3 to 4 years. And the uric acid was even 8.20. So the patient, after taking the history of the case, there were symptoms which were very common, that the patient obviously have increased thirst because of his diabetes and because of his low intake of water, because he was advised less intake of water because of this renal transplantation, dry skin, itching. There were common symptoms. These were the physical generals. And the patient was very emotional, very sensitive. He was a single brother with two sisters, and a mother living together. They were separated, and the patient was very oversensitive and very emotionally attached. So there were important rubrics which were being taken. That was his mind was sensitive. His generalities, the marked weakness, just uh, clicked me for arsenic at once, because there was itching and weakness was there. But at the same time, he complained of edema of bilateral legs. There was constipation, and sometimes also bleeding per rectum, and there was abdominal distension. So the rubrics taken were all these rubrics were taken, and also one of the rubric was taken as kidneys renal failure. So the kidneys renal failure chronic. So sleep also was disturbed. So these were the rubrics being taken in the radar. And after repertorizing, the medicines which came up were lycopodium, sulfur, arsenic, phosphorus, all those medicines that are that we use very commonly and that are polychromos remedies. Lycopodium is a great medicine when you talk about right side infections and constipation, and there is sensitiveness of mind, and the abdominal is being affected. At the same time, sulfur is a great remedy for skin issues, for the weakness, for constipation, rectum, for disturbed sleep. And arsenic is altogether a very good polychrest, again for the weakness, extreme weakness, sensitive mind, swelling of legs, renal failure. Arsenic album is a great remedy. Phosphorus at the very same moment, it helps to hematuria, that proteinuria, that tendency of epistaxis in the past, which was there. So lachesis also the hemorrhoidal tendency, hemorrhagic tendency. So these were the common remedies which came up for the repetization. But at the same time, I had to lower the creatinine levels of the patient. So when uh, I was ruling out the medicines, um, I prescribed on very pathological correspondence at the same moment, and it was the reference was taken from Vermeulen's Franz Vermeulen's Source and Substance, wherein he has mentioned a single line about creatinine as a medicine, that it is a very good remedy when you talk about such cases where the renal dysfunctions. And it was coming up in this, you can see in the repertory sheet, the second repertory sheet I have shown, that it is visible at 603 number, the creatinine remedy. I've circled it out. So, along with the concurrent therapy of the patient, the immunosuppressive medications, the nephrologist visit, and the follow-ups continuously, the regular regular laboratory monitoring every 3 months, every 1 month, 2 months, and supportive treatment, and the management. That was low protein intake, low salt intake, and less of water intake. The patient was prescribed creatinine 6 in January, 4 drops thrice a day for 5 days. So patient was given this medicine, and he was continued with the hypertensive we'll be discussing. The creatinine was given because of the reference taken from the France vermilion source and substance. So creatinine as a remedy is not mentioned in much source books or in much of the reference books available to us. But as a pathological finding, it was given. So on 10th January, at the initial consultation, creatinine 6 potency was given, which showed symptomatic when it was visible that there was slight improvement in the symptoms. He was repeated after a month, and for every 15 days he was looked after. The improvement increased, and it was improvement in the skin symptoms. The abdominal bloating got better. There's better sleep, and the patient on 6th May presented with a state that was on a stationary state. So when you talk about homeopathic principles, the fundamental principles, the stalwarts, whatever they have said, they have very nicely explained that when the disease comes to a status quo position, that it was no more improving and showing the same symptoms, the levels of creatinine were decreased. But then at the same position it was there. So the patient was given creatinine 30 repeatedly, and then he was reviewed after a month, July, and then he was continued the same medicines while investigating him on the 16th October, and seeing the improvement of the patient. The potency was increased as per the Kent's law of series. The potency was increased to creatinine 200, and the patient was reviewed then in December. So, when you discuss about such a case, and the patient already having renal transplant, showing episodes of graft dysfunction, he's having biopsy confirmed IgA nephropathy, he's showing persistent symptoms despite getting the best treatment that is available in the conventional medicine. He needed actually a multi-disciplinary management and integrative care. So, so, so the patient, I'll just show the, I think I'll just show I'll just show the reports to you. I missed the reports, I think. The reports were being missed. So I'll show you the reports of the patient, complete reports of the patient. I'll just show the complete reports. Yeah, so these are the reports which was being uh, seen, that I forgot to attach at the presentation. So I'm showing it here. So the patient presented with these symptoms of hemoglobin at 10.4, which I showed already. And on 8th of January 2023, his levels of creatinine kidney panel showed urea as 70, creatinine when he came to me, creatinine as 3.20, uric acid 8.20, calcium levels also at a lower level, ALP high. Obviously, he was taking so many medications. So this was the presentation when he came to me on the first of this, and there was not much proteinuria or any other symptoms seen at that moment, and his HbA1c was fine. He was having a good sugar levels. So his sugar levels were maintained. His BP was maintained for that time because of the BPA medications and heavy sugar medications. Then the patient presented to me on 3rd of February with his reports, wherein the hemoglobin was approximately from 10.4 to 10.9. Uh, that was a very mild improvement. And maybe because of his improved diet or the management, it may have increased. His ESR was 15, and his kidney panel showed these levels, wherein the creatinine was 3.11 at the same time. 3.2 से बहुत ज़्यादा levels नहीं आए. Urea was approximately same. Uric acid was approximately same. So the levels couldn't would hadn't matlab it was very 19-20 wala, there was very mild improvement, or you can say there was neutral. So the patient was continued with the medicine. His cholesterol levels were also being regulated during that time, because altogether the body gets other body parts also gets affected because of our diet, because of our medications, etc. So after that, on after this 3rd February, the reports came up. The fasting glucose was 58 at that time. His sugar dropped during that time, and his levels of TSH also came to down level because his immunity was really low at that time, and he was affected with CRP. He was also having CRP positive, CRP levels high. So at the same time, then the 3rd February reports presented. After that, 16th February, again the patient was tested only for KFT. So KFT के लिए liver panel and LFT was done. LFT was done. Kidney function was done. Creatinine was done in on 16th of February. This is on January 3rd, January 23rd to then 16th February. The levels of creatinine came to 2.93. So the patient family was very surprised to see, because last 3-4 years the patient's creatinine level didn't go beyond 3 or below 3. So that was the first time. That was just an indication that the medicine is acting. So the patient was again continued with the medicine, and in April he was tested again. On April 10th the reports were that the hemoglobin came to 11.40 because his diet improved. He was counseled a bit because there was very low he was very low at moods. So he was counseled, he was given positivity during his regular visits, because that is also one of the important factors that reduce the stress of the disease. And on 10th of April, the creatinine levels again shooted up to 3.1. So I was really the patient's family was disappointed. The patient was disappointed to see that it came to 2.9, now again to 3.1. So because and the GFR also was estimated as 26 at that time. So again, the patient came to a level that was deteriorating. So he improved a little, and then he was deteriorating. And the urea also similarly, utna hi 678.77 tha, and the uric acid in fact increased to 10.3 in April. So the patient was re-evaluated. The patient history was re-evaluated, and then he was as his improvement was seen in the first and 1.5 month. So the patient was showing no improvement, and he was going back to that levels. So he was increased the dose with creatinine 200, creatinine 30, when he came to me in May with these reports. So the patient, when he came to me in May, he was prescribed as creatinine 30, and then April, May, and then when he reverted me in May, so on 6th of May, again the levels decreased to 2.83 milligram per mg per deciliter, and the GFR was a little increase, that was 29. Urea also decreased from 78 to 67, and uric acid also decreased from 10 to 9.8. So there was a little improvement which gave a positive hope to the patient, and plus the patient was also relieved that yes, the medicine is acting. So the patient again was continued with creatinine 30 as a pathological medicine. Along with the medicine, there was Alserum 7x, which was also being prescribed to patient because of his swelling at times. And as per the symptomatic management, there was a single dose of arsenic being given in between because of the patient was complaining of swelling, etc. And sometimes Apis 30 as an acute remedy was also prescribed because of that itching and everything else, itching symptoms and all. So the patient when came to me with these reports. Show you the next reports. Just give me a second. I'll show you the last final report of the patient to you. By the time, if you have any queries, you can post in the chat box. I'll show you the reports also, the next reports. By the time, you can post the questions on the in the chat box, or you have any queries, I can see. There is a comment that there should be there is um, there is a use of homeopathic software and AI. So today's technology, when you talk about, there are many softwares which are coming up, जो कि AI आप on कर दो, it converts the patient symptoms into words, and there are so many things which are being coming up. So I think I've got the reports. For the time being, the patient was also being prescribed. Sometimes you as per the presentation of the report, it's I think for for it, we can obviously yes. So I think I missed the report. I'll share it with you all in subsequent time. I'm not able to see because the levels of creatinine came up to 1, and I want to show the report. I'll just if anybody is along with this, they want to share something about such cases. So give me 2 minutes, sir, Dr. Dhanesh. If there is somebody who want to share about yeah, you want to share about any of the cases, so give me 1 minute. I'll just see the I'll just check out the uh, scanned reports, and then I can come back in 2 minutes. Dhanesh sir, Dr. Dhanesh.
Yes, ma'am. I think Dr. Danesh is not available now.
So
Yeah, ma'am. You can
yeah,
continue.
you can just continue for 2 minutes if somebody wants to share. I'll just find out the report, and then I'll just show the report to you.
Okay, ma'am. It's okay. So if anyone wants to ask any questions, you can ask. I have one doubt. This creatinine you have given only up to 200 potency, you will got the result, or
Yes, ma'am, 200 only.
only? Okay.
Yes, 200 only. I didn't go to higher. I could go if it was required. If it would have required.
Okay. So in between, you didn't give any polycrest like the in between. I
I
think
told
ask
arsenic was being given. Arsenic was being given.
potency.
30 low potency because the patient was already affected, na? Already
Okay.
he was under immunosuppressants. The pathology was very low. and he was affected. I think the levels went altogether to so low levels. I just want to. By the time if some doctor wants to share anything, you can please request them.
Yes, doctor, it's really a very good session. And actually, how much you are practicing specifically in nephropathy or nephrology, or all kind of diseases that comes on the way, and how many how much success rate you got with
Sir,
homeopathy?
I have so many kidney cases right now whose levels are whose level I come across cases जो कि dialysis पे चल रहे हैं, dialysis जाना चाहते हैं, 6 में है, 6 creatinine है, 7 है. So there
Whether
I have
you
seen.
whether you go with the complementary remedy, medicine along with allopathic medicine, or whether you
Yes,
ask the
yes,
patient
I
this.
go along with the allopathic medicine only because we do not have to uh, give the patient, we cannot put the patient's life on stake. So, yes,
Uh, some- Somebody was
I go.
asking, yeah, which medicines are just for creatine high. That's the funny question.
So, creatinine is a specific remedy. When you talk about this levels, एक second, I think I missed the last December reports. December 10, December reports I had, which in which creatinine came to 1.10, and
And whether the patient is still continuing the allopathic medicine or whether the patient has
he's
reduced.
as they go to be true, he's still continuing the treatment. He's still continuing the treatment along with my treatment, and his levels of creatinine are at normal level. He's not suffering from any of the other um, complaints or recurrent swelling or anything else.
Whether he's taking medicine from a nephrologist or a physician.
Yes, nephrologist as well as from me. So he's continuing the medication, homeopathic as well as allopathy.
Actually, once the things are coming down, then usually you can advise to reduce the allopathic medicine.
Hmm.
Whether the patient was able to
Sorry, sir.
whether the patient was able to reduce the medicine, even though we people are giving homeopathic medicine along with allopathic medicine, the nephrologist may not agree that this is because of their homeopathy or because of the action. So he won't allow the patient to reduce his medicine. What do you think?
He can be reduced. I didn't. I have given him. Right now, he's being not under creatinine continuously, but yes, he's being given on and off Alserum 7x. See, I've got the report of October. I think I'll show October, so I'll got it. I'll show the report of October, wherein his levels came back. And one report also I'll just show. I'm been searching for the reports. Yeah, I've got the December reports also. So yes, it was in my mail. So I'll just share my screen once again. Yeah. So yes, if you talk about these levels, I have downloaded it from my mail already. 16th October, his reports, he came to me with the creatinine.
Dr. Raman, you have written something there in the chat book, but can you explain a little bit so that doctor can answer? Yes. Creatine high with no urine pass, dialysis twice a week. Okay.
Sorry, sir. I think my internet got affected. So I'll just share the screen once again.
Okay.
Yeah. So these were the reports of the patient. I'm sorry if I'm showing this with the name, uh, but yes, I'll just disclose it. And then the patient presented with to me on 10th December with good levels of creatinine, that was 1.1. And I'm very glad to say that his condition is very improved right now and he's living a normal life. And though he get regularly checked up and he's taking medications, he's decreased his conventional medicines. He couldn't. Doctors were advised him to go for dialysis and everything when his creatinine levels were going on high and on a stationary point. But then he didn't go. The GFR also came up to 45, and nowadays I think if I show the report the latest report showed it to 65 GFR. So the urea was also improved, 42 it came. The uric acid also 7.01. So the reports improved a lot when he came to me in December 2023. So this presentation clearly shows that individualized homeopathic treatment, when you talk about, and regularly monitoring the laboratory findings, um, can be proved to be great, proved to give good results to the patient. And at the same time, there are some limitations when you talk about concurrent conventional medications. We have limited ability to establish the causality. The 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 control group is there, not there. So there are so many things that can be done in such cases. We have so many cases coming up CKDK. So agar there is this single patient observation can be converted into clinical trials, and then going on for multicentric studies, RCTs, or biomarker studies. So that would develop a great evidence for homeopathy as an adjunct therapy, especially in kidney diseases, wherein you can prevent your dialysis or any. So you have to remember that you have to be focused on individualized treatment along with the conventional treatment. You have to give an integrated care, wherein homeopathic physician, the nephrologist, and the patient all together, and his family, is the collaboration is very important. So I hope I could give a good take home away message. There is a need of high quality clinical research in this area, and individualized homeopathy are great as miracles in such patients. So the reference, I would like to acknowledge my family and my colleagues and my friends and my seniors and my juniors even for for always supporting me. My husband, who has been a support in this case. Thank you so much for your patient listening. Um, you can post your queries. Over to you, Dr. Dhanesh.
What's your opinion on pathological prescription in kidney renal function
So yes,
disease?
so pathology. See the pathology. I'll just share this screen. Stop share the screen. So when you talk about pathological cases, in such cases, pathology is very important to be seen, because the patient has developed a very low vitality at that point. उसके अंदर इतना susceptibility है नहीं, that person has no such susceptibility, low susceptibility है, that he cannot respond to stronger medicines, or he may have responded good to constitutional treatment also, as he did in many cases, many episodes when arsenic was given, apis was given, but as per the symptomatic treatment. But at the same time, the patient pathology has a very important role, or here comes the role of pathology, जो कि Dr. Boger and Dr. Bonninghausen ने बहुत अच्छे से they have explained that the pathological generals are very important, and they actually tell the prognosis of the case. Here, if you talk about this case, so the patient was given creatinine as per seeing the creatinine levels. Specifically on the pathology, the patient was being given, and it was the reference I was told that Franz Vermeulen has said that pathological state of the case, there is chronic renal dysfunction is there, and especially the patient was post-renal transplant patient. So I couldn't prescribe solely on the base of repertorial ranking. So I considered the diagnosis, I considered the symptoms, I considered the pathological affinity, and then I referred to the pathological literature wherein I can show, I'll just show you the screen words. I'll show you the screen once again, wherein Vermeulen has mentioned, Franz Vermeulen has clearly mentioned uh, that uh, uh, that creatinine is described as a substance closely related to creatine metabolism and renal excretion. You can take this reference from Synthesis Treasure Edition in Radar. So it states that creatinine is a breakdown product of creatine phosphate in muscle and is usually produced at a fairly constant rate by the body, and approximately 2% of body's creatine is converted to creatinine every day, and it is chiefly filtered out filtered out of the blood by the kidneys, and its serum level serves as an important marker for renal function. So the serum levels of creatinine made me take this reference, and it was described in relation to the renal physiology and creatinine metabolism. And supporting all this, this creatinine was
Okay.
prescribed, and
Okay, doctor. Our time is
yeah,
already over. Okay.
yes,
I'm
sir.
inviting Mr. Abdusalam sir to say vote of thanks to the session. Please
Thank you,
unmute,
sir.
sir.
Good evening, Dr. Yashika. I just wanted to ask one thing. Generally, we see in practice that the chronic kidney failure starts basic of two causes. Either it is a diabetes, suddenly, I would say a hyperglycemia attack, then the kidney starts into going into acute failure and then chronic failure, or it is an acute bout of hypertension. The BP suddenly rises up. So with this causation, we have anything specific to start with, or it is again the constitutional and the
So
pathological
at
management?
this time, usually the acute stage, if it is required, so we need to give the BP medications or the diabetes medications along with together. The allopathic management is whatever they are doing, but along with that, we can also prescribe our homeopathic remedies that are good in at this stage. I also prescribe in between if there is requirement of uranium nitricum 4x at moments. During this case, even at times I have prescribed uranium nitricum 4x to the patient when he was at some hyperglycemic stage. Rather than increasing his allopathic medications, we should add on our medication to in such cases and improve the diabetes or the sugar levels of the patient. In fact, BP also, if it's getting high, so there are medicines we have Rolfia also, and in low potencies or in tablets or in 1x, or you can say in mother tinctures also, rather than giving insulin to the patient, rather than giving metformin, Telma 40 to the patient, or increasing the dosage of allopathic medicines, or increasing the dose 3 times, two times. So rather than giving the patient such things, you need to manage the patient along with the homeopathic medicines such as Rolfia. We can give Allium sativa. For sugar, we have Syzygium, uranium nitricum. I have seen beautiful results of uranium nitricum 4x
Okay,
in
madam.
such patients.
Okay. Our time is already over, and thank you, Dr.
Thank you,
Yashika
sir.
Arora, and those who attend the English session tonight, and tomorrow we will have a session from Dr. Sumana Kumari Pandey, and doctor will be talking about use of homeopathic mother tinctures in recurrent urinary tract infection. With that, we come to the end of the day. Thank you all. Good night. Over to Dr. Mariamma John to moderate the Malayalam session.